Good afternoon to all. Now, in this class, we will see the transmission lines for impedance matching purposes by using different step parameters and the transmission lines of whether it is open circuit or short circuited and Smith charts and S parameters. In the previous class, I can conclude that in the previous class, we discussed about the transmission line parameters, transmission line equations, transmission line of different types, that is lossless transmission line and lossy transmission lines, and characteristics impedances. Now, the characteristics impedance of a transmission line defined based on the primary parameters. The primary parameters of a transmission line is R, L, C, and G. That is the resistor, inductor, capacitor, and dielectric conductance. Now, based on these primary parameters, the characteristics impedance Z0 is equals to square root of L by C. This is the equation, square root of L by C. That is the current and voltages are in phase. Now, this characteristic impedance is matching to the output impedances. That is nothing but match impedance matching. Now, before going to this impedance matching purpose, what are the drawbacks in quarter wave transformer or half wave transformers? In the quarter wave transformer, now here this is the Z0 is the output impedances and Z of T is the terminal impedances of this terminal and Zn is the input impedance to the load and Z of L is the load for a quarter wave transmission line. Now from this four parameters, that is Zn, Z0, Z of T and Z of L. Z of T terminal impedances is equals to under square root of Z0 into Z of L, where Z0 is the output impedances and Z of L is the load impedances. Now, but in this one, the drawback of this quarter wave transformer, the length of the quarter wave transformer is a frequency dependent. So it is a frequency dependent. The length of the quarter wave transformer is a frequency dependent. That is the drawback. And another thing is this technique needs special lines, special transmission line with a different characteristics impedance for every load impedance to be matched. That is nothing but it needs a special transmission line with different characteristics impedance. So the characteristics impedance of the free space is 377 ohms or 125. Now we need to different characteristics impedance. That impedance is matched to the load impedances, then only the maximum power will be transferred. Otherwise, if it is not, then some of the power will be reflecting back to the source. That is the reflection coefficient. How much of power will be reflecting back to the source? Now, to avoid these drawbacks, then we can using the stub matching or stub tuners. So next thing is impedance matching of stubs. In these stubs, this is the length of this stub, and this stub is located at a distance from the load is D. Now, this either open circuit or short circuited. If it is a open circuit or short circuited, then what will be the effect of input impedance based on the output impedances Z0 and Z of L for a lossy transmission line or lossless transmission lines. Now, this stuff's impedance matching also can define either admittances or impedances. For impedances, the stubs are connected in series combination, and for admittances, the stubs are connected in parallel combinations. Here also the impedance and admittances are related by Z is equals to 1 by pi or Y is equals to 1 by Z. So either way you can representing either in terms of impedances or in terms of admittances. Now, how these now for single stubs, while we are using the single stub either open circuit or short circuit transmission line for impedance matching so that the load seen by the main transmission line is Z0. So this is the main transmission line with the impedance is Z0. Here we can using the only the single stub that is connected in parallel to the load component, load Z of L. Okay, and the length of this once single stub is L of T and the distance between the load is L of S. L of S. That is the length of the stubs from the load and L of T is the terminal length of the stubs. Now, first, identify the length of the main line from the load at which the admittance is given by. Now, from this load, what is the length? At what length we can connecting these stubs? Then only the impedance of this stub is matched to this load impedances because then is depends upon the length of the transmission line and also length from the load where we are connecting the stub tuners or stub matches. Now, the admittance is Y is equals to Y naught base JB, okay, where Y naught is the output admittance. Y naught is the output admittances. Now, at this length, L of S lossless short circuit or open circuit transmission line. This is the open circuit or short circuit transmission line is placed and its length is tuned L of T to have the admittance is minus J bit. So that the of main transmission line and single step transmission line is given by Y I of S is equals to Y L of S, that is the admittances of the length of this stub is equals to Y naught plus JB minus both are cancelled, then it will comes out Y naught. That is the output admittances. Now, if this stub is a open circuit or short circuited transmission line or short circuited stub, then ZSC is equals to that is tan beta L. J is the imaginary part and Z0 is the output impedances and tan beta L, where L is L is the length of the transmission line and beta is phase constant. Then the corresponding admittances YSC is equal to short circuit admittances is equals to 1 divided by, because YSC is equals to 1 by reciprocal of impedances. So admittance is reciprocal of impedances. Therefore, YSC is equal to 1 by J Z naught and beta L. Similarly, for open circuit impedances, ZOC is equal to minus J Z naught cot beta L. Cot function. Beta is the phase constant, Z naught is output impedances, and L is the length of the transmission line. Then the corresponding output admittance is equal to 1 by ZOC, that is equal to 1 by J Z naught cot beta L. Okay. Now, but in this single stub line, this length is not n. Once the length is fixed, then the admittances may change. So once the length is fixed, the admittances or impedances may change. To avoid these changes of the admittances or impedances, then we have to using a double stub matching. So this double stub, first double stub is, this is stub 1 and this is stub 2. These two are connected in parallel combination because of we are using the find out the admittance parameters. Now the length of the single stub is L stub 1 and the length of the second stub is L stub 2. Now the length of the stub 1 is located from the load is D stub 1. That is the distance of the stub 1 from the load. This is the distance. And D stub 2 is the distance of the stub 2 from the load, not from the source. That is D stub 2. Now, the impedance matching can be achieved by inserting two stubs at the specified locations along the transmission line as shown in this figure. So we have to using the two stubs in this transmission line to match the impedances. Once the impedances is matching, then the reflection is equals to 0. So how the reflection is 0, that we'll see next topic. Okay. So once the impedances is match it to the transmission lines, the load is matched to the transmission line, then there is no reflections. There is no power will be reflecting back to the source. All the powers generated by the source is transferred to the load impedances. Okay. So for that purpose, for improving the impedance matching, we have to use the two stubs or stub tuners. No, there are two design parameters for double stub matching. That is, the length of the first stub line is L stub 1. The length of the second stub line is L stub 2. L stub 2. Now, in double stub configuration, the stubs are inserted at a predetermined location in this way. So we have to locating the two stubs at a predetermined location. It is not possible to locate at any distances. First, we have to calculating the distance from the load, where it is, at what distance the impedances are matched to the load impedances. So we have to calculating the distance. In that distance only we have to locate it or we have to insert the stubs. So in the double stub configuration, the stubs are inserted at a predetermined location. In this way, if the load impedance is changed, one simply has to replace the stubs with another set of different length. So if the load it changes, then automatically that load impedance is not matched to the impedances that not match to the output impedances. So again, if the load is changes, again we have to change the stubs impedances. We have to tune the impedance of the stub that matches to the load impedances while changing the length. So length it changes automatically. The impedances is also changes. So at what length the impedance is matched to the output. Of the double step tuning is a certain range of load admittance cannot be matched once the step locations are fixed. So the drawback of the double step tuning is that certain range of the load admittances cannot be matched. If the load is changes, then we have to change the distances from the load, then that particular distances, so always we can change the distance. So while changing these distances, at particular distance, beyond that distances, the admittance cannot be matched in the doubles, in the sublocations are fixed. So at that time, again we have to using the one more steps, that is nothing but three steps matching in place of double steps. Three steps are necessary to guarantee that match is always possible. Okay. Next, the length of the first step is of the second step before the second step is inserted has a the characteristics impedance of the transmission lines. So the length of the first step is selected so that the impedance of the location of the second step before inserting the second step. So first we have to consider inserting the first step and then calculating the admittances. In which location, at what distance the admittance is matched to the load. Okay? And also it is matches to the characteristics admittance of the transmission lines. At that location, we have to inserting the second step. No. The stubs are connected at a location in a main transmission line. The stubs are either short circuit or open circuit or a matched line. If it is open circuit or if it is a short circuited, then what is the reflection coefficient and what is the standing wave ratio? If it is a matched line, just now I told that if the transmission line is matched to the load impedance, then the reflection coefficient is zero. That we have to see now. Now, in the short circuited transmission line, the output Z of L is equals to zero. This is the short circuit. So this is short circuit, then ZL is equals to zero. Z of L is zero. Now, the equivalent circuit of a short transmission line as shown in figure. Here, this is the current passing to this one is I of S and voltage across this one is V of S and the resistance is R and this is the source and here it is V of R and current passing to this one is I of R. Where I of S and I of R is nothing but the source and receiving currents. Whereas V of S and V of R is the source voltage and receiving voltage. This is the equivalent circuit diagram matched to the short transmission lines. Now, V of S and V of R are the sending and receiving voltages of a transmission lines. Therefore, the current is all here it is a short circuited, and therefore the source current is equals to the receiving current, that is nothing but I of S is equal to I of R. And V of S is equals to V of R plus I of R into Z. So that is the transmission line parameters. Next. Now, if the transmission lines are a lossy transmission and a lossless transmission, or a distortionless transmission line and a lossless transmission lines. Now, the input impedance of a lossy transmission and lossless transmissions are Zn is equals to Zn of L, that is nothing but input impedance of the length of the transmission line is L. Okay, is Z naught into Z of L plus Z naught tan H delta L divided by Z naught by Z of L tan H gamma L gamma. This equation is for the lossy transmission line. For a lossless transmission line, the input impedance Z in L is equals to the input impedance of the transmission line of length is L. Is Z naught into Z of L plus Z naught tan beta L divided by Z naught plus Z of L tan beta L. Beta is nothing but the phase constant with the length is L. Length of the transmission line is L. The difference between the lossy and the lossless transmission line, here it is hyperbolic function, trigonometric function of tan H, and here it is the trigonometric function of tan. That is only the difference of lossless and lossy transmission lines. Now, if the transmission line is a short circuited, that is Z of L is equals to 0. We have to substitute this Z of L is equals to 0 in this lossless transmission line. All the derivations we have to done in the lossless. For a lossy transmission line, it depends upon the conductor materials. That's why we have to using only the lossless transmission line. Now, in this derivation, in this equation, we have to substitute Z of L is equals to 0. Therefore, here this is equals to Z naught into Z of L is equals to 0 plus J into Z naught tan beta L whole divided by Z naught plus J into Z of L. Z of L is equals to 0. So Z naught cancel, then it will comes J into Z naught tan beta L. Therefore, the short circuited impedance is J Z naught. Z naught is the output impedance is tan beta L. Beta is equal to phase constant and L is the length of the transmission line. That's why if the length is changes, automatically the admittance or impedances may change. So at what length the impedances are matched to the load, that depends upon this L value length. So based on these equations, then the reflection coefficient delta L is defined as Z of L minus Z naught divided by Z of L plus Z naught. This is the definition of that is the reflection coefficient. In this equation, Z of L is equals to 0. So 0 minus Z naught divided by 0 plus Z naught. That is equal to minus Z naught divided by Z naught, that is equals to minus 1. These two are cancelled. Therefore, the reflection coefficient for a short circuited transmission line is equals to minus 1. Whereas from this reflection coefficient, The voltage standing wave ratio or current standing wave ratio or simply standing wave ratio SWR is defined as S is equals to 1 plus delta L divided by 1 minus delta L. That is equals to 1 plus mod of minus 1 whole divided by 1 minus of mod of minus 1. That is equals to 1 plus mod of minus 1 is 1 whole divided by 1 minus mod of 1 is minus 1 is 1. That is equals to 2 by 0, that is equal to infinity. Therefore, the standing wave ratio is infinity and reflection coefficient is minus 1. So therefore, for a short circuited transmission line, the short circuited impedance ZSC is equals to J Z naught tan beta L, and the corresponding reflection coefficient is minus 1 and standing wave ratio is infinity. Next, if the transmission line is a open circuit transmission line, then Z of L is equals to infinity. Now, see here, this one is the open circuit, so there is no this wire, it is open circuit. At the time, Z of L is equals to infinity. It is a open circuit. Then, if the transmission line is a open circuit, then what is the input impedance and what is the reflection coefficient and what is the voltage standing wave ratio of a open circuit transmission line in lossless? Now, as we know that for the lossless transmission line, Zn is equals to, so we can recalling this equation. We can recalling this equation. Zn is equal to Z naught into Z naught into Z of L plus J Z naught tan beta L divided by Z naught plus J Z of L tan beta L. Now, in this equation, while substituting Z of L is equals to infinity. While substituting the equation directly, infinity of Z of L, Z naught into this is infinity plus anything whole divided by Z naught plus J Z of L. Z of L is infinity. So that is infinity plus anything is it will comes infinity by infinity. So this is the undefined functions. So infinity by infinity is a undefined function. So to avoid this undefined function, now we have to take the Z of L is common in the numerator and denominator. First, this Z of L is common in the numerator, Z of L is common, then it will comes 1 plus J, Z naught by Z of L tan beta L whole divided by, here also Z of L is common, then it will come Z naught by Z of L plus J tan beta L. Now this Z of L is cancelled to each other. Now here we can substituting Z of L is equals to infinity. Now 1 plus J, anything by infinity that is equals to 0. So 1 plus 0 whole divided by, this is nothing but anything by Z of L is infinity, anything by infinity is 0 plus tan beta L. This is the equation. So simply Z naught 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 into Z naught is Z naught divided by J tan beta L, or 1 by tan. You're multiplying and dividing by J on numerator and denominator. Then it will comes minus J Z naught 1 by tan is cot. Either you can write down in terms of cot or you can write down in terms of tan. Now, the corresponding reflection coefficient Delta L is Z of L minus Z naught divided by Z of L plus Z naught. That is equals to Z of L into, now if numerator and denominator. So Z of L is common, that is equals to numerator Z of L whole divided by 1 plus. Now in this equation 1 minus Z naught by Z of L. Z of L is infinity. So Z naught by infinity, that is equals to 0. So 1 minus 0 divided by 1 plus 0. So what will happen? So that is equal to 1 by 1, that is equals to 1. Therefore, so the reflection coefficient is equals to 1. And the corresponding voltage standing wave ratio S is equals to 1 plus 1 plus delta L divided by 1 minus delta L. So delta L is equals to 1. So 1 plus 1 divided by 1 minus 1, that is equals to infinity. So the standing wave ratio is infinity, but the reflection coefficient is plus 1. Now, while multiplying these open circuit and short circuited ZOC into ZSC, that is equal to ZSC is equal to J Z naught tan beta L, and ZOC is Z naught divided by J tan beta L. So J cancel and tan beta L cancel, then it becomes Z naught into Z naught square. Therefore, Z naught is equal to square root of ZOC into ZSC. Therefore, the character where Z naught is the output impedances is defined in terms of open circuit impedances and short circuit impedances under square root. Next, for a matched transmission line, Z of L load impedance is equals to the output impedance Z naught. As we know that the input impedance of a lossless transmission line Zn is equals to Z naught into Z of L plus J Z naught tan beta L divided by Z naught plus J Z of L tan beta L. In this equation, we have to substituting ZL is equal to Z naught, then it will come Z naught plus J Z naught tan beta L divided by this one. The numerator and denominator both are same, that is equals to, both are cancel each other. Therefore, it will comes only Z naught. Therefore, input impedance is equals to the output impedances for a matched transmission line. Once the impedances are matched, then there is no reflection that we will see here. Delta L is equal to ZL minus Z naught divided by ZL plus Z naught. Here you can substituting ZL is equals to Z naught. Z naught minus Z naught is 0. 0 by anything is 0. Therefore, the reflection coefficient is 0. So the reflection coefficient is 0 means there is none of the voltages or current cannot be reflecting to the source. Whatever the power generated by the source is transmitted to the transmission lines to the source. So the corresponding voltage standing wave ratio S is equal to 1 plus delta L. Delta L is 0. So 0 divided by 1 minus delta L. Delta L is 0. So 1 plus it becomes 1. Therefore, delta L is 0 and S is equal to 1. Therefore, so I can summarizing all these parameters for a short circuit transmission line, delta L is a minus 1 and S is equal to infinity. For a open circuit, delta L is 1 and S is equal to infinity for open circuit. And for match line, delta L is 0 and S is equals to 1 for match line. For match line. So this is the open circuit, short circuit, and match line transmission lines. Okay. Now, Smith charts. Now, for defining the secondary parameters from the primary parameters of the transmission lines, that is R, L, C, and G parameters, we have to find out the secondary parameters, that is attenuation constant, propagation constant, phase constant, characteristics impedances, all the parameters we have to find out. For a complex transmission lines problems, we have to using for a small transmission line problems, we use the mathematical functions to defining or to find the phase constant, attenuation constant, characteristics impedance Z naught, ZOC, ZSC, alpha, beta like this. If the transmission line is complex, then these mathematical functions are very complicated to find the transmission line parameters. At that time, we have to using the graphical representation of these complex transmission lines. That graphical representation is nothing but a Smith charts. So a complex transmission line parameters transmission line problem, the use of the formulae becomes increasingly difficult and inconvenient. An indispensable graphical method of solution is the use of Smith chart. Is the use of Smith charts. So the Smith charts are used to find the transmission line parameters from the graphicals. Now, in this Smith charts, we have to find out the load impedances, Z naught value for a series stubs or parallel stubs. Find out the VSWR. Once VSWR is known, then we have to find out the reflection coefficient. So you have to find out based on these Smith charts. Now, plotting a complex impedance on a Smith charts. So we have to using the complex impedances on the Smith charts. Complex impedance is nothing but here we can using the capacitive impedance, inductive impedance, and a resistive component. And finding the VSWR for the given load. Okay. Based on the load Z of L, then we have to find out the VSWR. VSWR is equal to Z of L minus Z naught divided by Z of L plus Z naught. So once the load is given, then we have to find out the VSWR based on this graphic also. Now, finding the admittance of a given impedances. Now we have to find out the admittances for the given impedance. So based on the impedance value, we have to impedances because admittance y naught is equals to 1 by z naught. Either y of L is equal to 1 by z of L also. Now, finding the input impedance of a transmission line terminated in a open or short circuited. So the impedance is finding the input impedance of a transmission line terminated in short or open. So the input impedance of a transmission can be find out in open circuit or short circuit. So Zn is equals to, already we know the previous equations. Z naught into Z of L plus J Z naught tan beta L divided by Z of L plus Z naught into tan beta L. Finding the input impedance at any distance from the load Z of L. So any distances from the load, we have to find out the impedances of Z of L parameters. Next, locating the first maxima and minima from any load. So from the load, we have to calculating the impedances for maximum and minimum. Matching a transmission line to a load with a single series steps. So whether this matching a transmission line to the load based on the impedances. If it is impedances, then the stubs are connected in series combination. If you can calculating the admittances, then the stubs are connected in the parallel combinations. So the stubs are matched to the transmission lines. So matching a transmission line with a single parallel stubs and matching a transmission line to the load with the two parallel stubs. If the single stub is not enough to match the impedances to a load impedances, then we have to using one more stubs, that is the double stubs. These double stubs are matched to the load. Now, how to draw the chart of a Smith charts while find out the impedances, admittances, capacitor component and reactor components. Here in this Smith charts, there are three different lines. That is the horizontal lines. This is the horizontal line, and this is the circles, and this is the half circles. This circles is end to the horizon. Now, this horizontal line is running through the center of the Smith charts. This horizontal line is at the center of the Smith charts, representing either the resistive or conductive component. Either resistive or conductive components. Now, now the zero resistance in the left hand side and infinite resistance on the right hand side. So zero resistance at the left hand side and infinite resistance at the right hand side at the center of this horizontal line. And this center line, so left hand side is zero, that is nothing but the short circuited, this is short circuited, and Jeda, this is infinite resistance in the right hand side, that is the open circuit, and the C center is a matched line. Now, the circles of constant resistance. The circles, that is this circle and these circles of a constant resistance is nothing but the circles of a constant resistance are drawn on the Smith charts tangent to the right hand side, tangent in here, not for the left hand side, tangent to the right hand side, and then intersecting at the center of this center line. Here it is intersecting here at the center line. These circles of constant resistance are used to locate complex impedances. Complex impedances. And the lines of constant reactance. The lines of the constant reactance, that is these lines, and these are the lines, and these are the lines. These are the constant reactance lines from the top of the center of the lines indicating the inductive component and this constant reactance in the bottom of the Smith charts representing the conduct capacitor component, and these lines are end at the origin. These lines are ending at the origin. Origin ending at the origin. This is the Smith charts of capacitor component, inductive component, and a resistive component. Now here, so can summarizing these Smith charts, Z is equals to 0 representing the short circuit impedances, and Z is equal to infinity representing the open circuit impedances, and Z is equals to 0 representing the impedance matching line. And these circles is either inductive component and capacitive components. Inductive component is that is equals to 1, that is the leading component, and capacitive component is minus, that is the lagging component. Now, next, S parameters. S parameters also called as a scattering parameters. So before going to these S parameters, as we know that the Z parameters, Y parameters, and H parameters. The Z parameters also call it as impedance parameters. Impedance parameters. These impedance parameters, the voltages V1 and V2 can be represented in terms of current, either input current and output current, either input voltage or output voltage of the any given network. Given network. And Y parameters also called admittance parameters. Admittance parameters. It is any network representing I1 and I2, and voltage is V1 and V2. So I1 and I2, these two parameters are representing in terms of V1 and V2. And H parameters, in the Y parameters, it can calculating only the impedances, that is input impedance and output impedances. And Y parameters is we have to calculating only admittances, that is input admittance and output admittances. And Y parameters can representing V1 and I2 in terms of V2 and I1 and V2. That is the hybrid H parameters also called it as hybrid parameters. Hybrid parameters. Because why it is called a hybrid means it is a combination of all the parameters, that is nothing but input impedance, output admittance, current gain, and voltage gains. But in Z2 we have to calculating only input and output impedances. Whereas in Y parameters, we have to calculating only input and output admittances. There is no current gain and there is no voltage gain. But in hybrid parameters, we have to calculating input impedance, admittances, current gain, and voltage gains. So all the parameters we have to calculating using hybrid parameters. Now, in this, all the parameters Z, Y, and H, all the parameters are represented in terms of voltages and currents. But in ES parameters, it is representing with amplitude and phase in place of voltage and current. Now, S parameters are used to describe how energy can propagating through the entire through an electric network. How the energy can be propagating into the network. And these S parameters can be calculated by using the S box. Next. The S parameters are used to describe the relationship between different ports when it becomes especially important to describing a network in terms of amplitude and phase versus frequencies rather than voltage and current. So in the Z, Y and H parameters representing in terms of voltage and currents, but in S parameters, it can representing with amplitude and phase with respect to the frequency. So the S parameters is a special case. It is not comparing to Z, Y and H parameters. The S parameters are used to show a complicated network as a simple black box and is easily represent what happens to the signal in that network. So what is the operation done inside the network? That is representing by the black box. So what happens inside the network? That we will see into from the S box. Now the S parameters can be saved as a S4P file. While simulating these parameters or SBox by using the MATLAB or Python programming or any languages, while simulation, you have to save the program with S4P file that contains all the combinations of reflections and transmission in a network. So reflection coefficient, the forward or reverse of a transmission line, you have to defining from this S parameters. And this shows how the device under test behaves with a signal in both forward and reverse directions. Okay. So how the network behaves when the current or voltages, the signal is propagating to the transmission line, how the network behaves. That can be studied in these S parameters. Now, the S parameters describe the input-output relationship between the ports in an electrical system. So the S parameters describe the input-output relationships between ports in an electrical system. The specifically at a high frequency component for low frequency analysis, you can using the Z, Y, H parameters. But high frequency analysis, that H, Y, Z are not applicable to the network. So we have to use the S parameters. And also ABCD parameters also used for the transmission lines. So especially for the high frequencies, it becomes essential to describe a given network in terms of waves rather than voltage or current. So in terms of voltages and currents, we have to using these S parameters for a transmission line in place of voltage and currents. Now, thus the S parameters we use the power waves. Now, in RF design, we cannot using other parameters for the analysis such as Z, Y, H parameters as do not as we cannot do short circuit or open circuit analysis, it is not feasible. So while using the short circuit transmission line and open circuit transmission line, these H, Y, and Z parameters are not applicable for the high frequency, for RF frequency analysis. It's very, and it is not feasible. That's why you can go for S parameters. Now, for a two-port network, the S parameters can be defined as, now we'll see here, this is the source and this is the receiving point, output Z0. Here, the incoming wave is in one and outgoing wave is out one. And this is DUT is nothing but data under test. And here, on the second network, receiving side also, second network also, the incoming wave is IN2 and outgoing current, outgoing wave is out2. Then from this one, while defining the S11, that is the source 1 is equal to out 1 divided by in 1 for in 2 is 0. For S12, that is the relation between 1 and 2 network is out 1 divided by in 2 and in 1 is 0. Similarly, S21, 2 is output 2 divided by input 1 and the input 2 is 0. S22, both are in the outside output, secondary. Out 2 divided by in 2 and in 1 is 0. This entire thing is black box. Sorry, S box. Now, S11, here the S11 is output 1 divided by the input 1. Both are in the port 1. So this is input port voltage reflection coefficient. S11 is the input port of the voltage reflection coefficient. And S12 is the S12 output 1 divided by input 2. Generally, output 2 divided by input 2 is the forward, but here it is reverse process. Output 1 divided by input 2. So that is a reverse voltage gain. And S21 is output port 2 divided by input port 1. That is forward voltage gain. And S2T is the output port voltage reflection coefficient. So output port voltage reflection coefficient. So S11 is the input port voltage reflection coefficient, S12 is the reverse voltage gain, and S21 is the forward voltage gain, S22 is the output reflection coefficient. Next, how these are representing in terms of a network if A1 is the incoming wave and B1 is the outgoing. Similarly, A2 is the incoming and B2 is the outgoing from port 2 and S is the network, this is the network. And A1 is incoming at port 1 and B1 is outgoing at port 2. Similarly, S is the S box. That S box is S is equals to S11, S12, S21, and S22. The same network we can representing in terms of a mathematical function B1 of t is equals to S11 A1 of t plus S12 A2 of t, and B2 of t is equals to S21 of t plus S22 of A2 of t. This is the networks. Now we have to calculating what is S11. So S11 is nothing but B1 by A1 with A2 is 0. So B1 is nothing but the reflected power at port 1 divided by incident power at port 1. So it 1 is nothing but port 1 and 2 is port 2. B1 is reflecting power and A1 is incoming, that is the incident waves. And B1 is reflecting power or outgoing. So S11 is equals to B1 divided by A1 with A2 is equals to 0. Similarly, S21 is equals to B2 by A2. That is B2 is nothing but transmitted power waves at port 2 divided by incident power at port 1 with A2 is 0. That is S21. And S22 is B2 by A2. So B2 is nothing but a reflecting power wave at port 2 divided by incident power at port 2 with A1 is 0. Similarly, S12 is equals to B1 by A2 with A1 is 0. So A1 is 0. So B1 is nothing but a transmitted power wave at port 1 divided by incident power at port 2. Now, the S parameters can be used to determine the reflection coefficients and transmission gains from both sides of the two-port network. Here the reflection coefficient is nothing but already we know that we've seen that S11 and S22 is the forward reflection coefficient and the reverse voltage reflection coefficient. We have to find out the two reflection coefficient and S12 and S21 is the forward and reverse voltage gains. So reflection coefficient and voltage gains of a transmission lines can be find by using S parameters. These concepts can further be used in determining gain, return loss, VSWR, and insertion loss. Either voltage gain or current gain or power gain. Once we know the voltage and currents, then we have to calculate the power gains. Listen. Then what is the VS return loss? The return loss can be thought of as a measure of how close the actual input and output impedances of a network is to the normal system impedance value. So return loss can be thought of as a measure of how close the actual input and output impedances of the network is to the nominal system impedance value. So how much of power will be returns? So how much of impedances is very close to the input and output impedances of the nominal system impedance values. The RF loss is defined by the 10 log 10 into modulus of 1 by S11 square. That is equals to, or S11 square you can take it in the numerator, that is 1 divided by it will comes minus S11 square whole power minus 1. So minus 1 power in square and this one is minus 20 S11 in terms of dB. Therefore, a return loss at the output is minus 20 log of S22 to the base 10 in terms of this loss is in terms of dB. Similarly, the VSWR is defined as VSWR is equal to, once we know the reflected loss and S11 and S12 or S21 or S22. Then VSWR is equal to 1 plus S11 divided by 1 minus S11. So this gain is you can calculating and a return loss and VSWR losses. So these are the parameters you can use in by using the S parameters. Therefore, you can conclude that in this class, you can the impedance parameters, impedance matching using single stub, double stub. Using single stub and double stub. These stubs are inserted at a distance of D1 and this is D1 and D2 from the load. The length of the stubs is L1 and this is L1 and L2. Now, once we have to find out the location, at which location the impedances are matched to the load impedances, then only we can inserting these stubs at that locations. That is the single stub and double stub. These single stub and double stub are using for the impedance matching purpose. Because of some of the transmission line does not match the power, does not match the impedances matching, at the time the reflection coefficient is very high. So some of the power will be returned back to the source. Next, these single stub or double stubs are in the open circuit or short circuited. Then if it is a open circuit or short circuit or match line, if it is a short circuited, then the reflection coefficient is -1 and SWR is equals to infinity. This is for the short circuit. And for a stubs transmission line is open circuit, then that is equals to reflection coefficient is 1 and SWR is equal to infinity. This is for the open circuit. And for the match line, reflection coefficient is 0 and S is equals to 1. This is for the matched transmission line. And then Smith charts. Smith charts are used to find the complex problems of the transmission line by using the graph. That graph is a Smith charts. The Smith charts having the three lines, that is the horizontal line, constant reactance line and constant lines. For the horizontal line, left hand side is the resistance is equals to 0, it can representing the short circuited line, and right hand side is infinity, it can representing the open circuit lines. And the constant reactance lines is representing the tangent to the axis of the transmission line, and it is intersection of the center of the resistance lines. And the constant reactance lines, the top of the center of the line, it can representing the inductance, and the bottom can be representing the capacitor components. And the last thing is S parameters. S parameters is a special case to use it to find what happens inside the network of a transmission lines. These S parameters can be representing as a amplitude and phase with respect to frequency, not a voltage and current comparing to Z, Y and H parameters. The S parameters also called as a scattering parameters. From these scattering parameters, we have to find the reflection coefficient by forward and reverse, and then voltage gains, either forward and reverse voltage gains. Okay. And it is also used to find the gain, return loss, VSWR and insertion loss. So this is the summary of this today's class. Okay, thank you.